A lot of people think that you can't do anything to grow taller or that your height stops increasing after a certain age, but that's only half truth. Even if you're above the age of 20, you can still do certain things which will help you to maximize your height. So let me break it down for you. If you want to grow taller, then you need to optimize your hormones. And I'm talking about hormones like human growth hormones and insulin-like growth factors, which is responsible for your height. But you should do all this in a natural way. Don't try to artificially increase your HGH levels or do something stupid just because you want an extra inch of height, because doing those things can really mess you up. So here's a natural step-by-step daily routine to maximize your height. The first and the most important step of this daily routine is getting high quality sleep. If you're someone who's between 6 and 13 years old, you must get 10 hours of sleep each night. If you're between 14 and 18, target 9 hours of sleep. And if you're 18 or older, then you guys must get 8 hours of sleep. I would also strongly recommend that you sleep at the same time every night. Look at what time you need to wake up and then set your bedtime accordingly. But also remember to add 1 extra hour in bed. So if you're 20 years old and you need to wake up by 7 a.m., then you must lie down in bed by 10 p.m. So if you need 8 hours of sleep, you need to be in bed for about 9 hours in total, because most of us can't fall asleep immediately. And to really maximize your sleep, there are a few rules that you can follow. 1. Don't eat anything for at least 3 hours before your bedtime. Ideally, you want as many hours as you can. 2. No screens for at least 1 hour before you sleep. 3. Make your bedroom dark and cold. 4. If you can't fall asleep, read a book or take slow, deep breaths. You can do 4 cycles of the 4-7-8 breathing technique, or you can do box breathing for a few cycles. This will help you to really relax and make it easier for you to sleep. The 5th and the most important rule is to never compromise on your sleep. There is a big difference between sleeping for 6 hours and sleeping for 8 hours. You will literally feel like a different person. So prioritize your sleep over everything else. After waking up and doing all your morning stuff, the second step of this routine is stretching. There are certain parts of your body like your knees, your ankles, and your spine that responds really well to stretching. When you stretch, you are applying mechanical tension to your body. And this mechanical tension can stimulate growth and make you taller. There is some science behind this, so let me explain what actually happens. There are 2 types of cartilage in your bones. The first one is articular cartilage, and the second one is epiphyseal cartilage. Let's just call it A and E. When you're young, you have a lot of E cartilage, and when you have a growth spurt, some of this cartilage turns into bone and you become taller as a result. So the more E cartilage you have, the taller you can become. But once you grow older, you have very little E cartilage because most of it has already been converted to bone, and that's why you cannot grow taller. But you still have some amounts of A cartilage no matter how old you are. So when you apply mechanical tension in the form of stretching, some of this A cartilage turns into E cartilage. And when that happens, you can gain an extra bit of height because E cartilage has the ability to turn into bone and make you taller. But I do have to let you know that the science behind this is still a work in progress. People are still researching more into this. And also, you only have so much A cartilage and E cartilage. So don't expect to go from 5'5" to 6 feet if you're about 20 years old. But nonetheless, stretching will put a tensional force on your body, and this is great because tensional force will generally stimulate your body to grow longer. So you can do things like the cobra stretch, or you can do hanging, or you can do calf raises and then just hold it at the top so that you're stretching your calves. So I'm gonna link a video in the description which will give you some stretches that you can try out. Okay, now it's time for breakfast. And when it comes to breakfast or eating as a whole, there's one thing you must remember. You need to eat a good amount of protein to really maximize your height. Ideally, you should eat 125 grams of protein every day, and the bare minimum is somewhere around 100, because protein is essential for your body to produce human growth hormones, which will help you grow taller. And it's also a great idea to switch up your protein sources, because each protein source has different micronutrients which will help you grow taller. So some of the most common protein sources are chicken, red meat, eggs, nuts, seeds, and soy. The fourth step of this routine is sprinting, and you can do this in the evening. The idea is to run as fast as you possibly can. Imagine that someone is chasing you with a knife, and go full speed for as long as you can and then rest. So it can be 20 seconds of intense running followed by a 2-minute rest, and you can do this about 3 to 5 times. Now, if you don't want to sprint, you can also jump on a stationary bike or an elliptical bike, but the idea remains the same. Maximum intensity for a short time and then rest. Also, a quick note, if you're someone who works out, then you can do your sprint after your workout. After you finish sprinting and after you've taken some time to cool down, you want to eat some carbs. When you eat carbs, you are increasing the insulin levels in your body, and since IGF-1 is insulin-like growth factors, it is going to go up as well, and that's actually a good thing for your height. But here's the thing, usually when IGF goes up, HGH goes down, because they work opposite to each other. But in order to maximize your height, you need to increase both HGH and IGF at the same time, and that's where the sprinting and the carbs come into play. When you sprint, you boost your HGH levels, and when you eat carbs following that, your IGF levels are gonna go up as well. So at that point, both HGH and IGF are high, which means your body is in a great place to maximize your height. And one last thing, if you're someone who eats a lot of carbs in the morning, then you can do your sprints in the morning and you can stretch in the evening. That's also fine, because it's all about making it work for you. And do keep one thing in mind, it's really important to avoid drinking and smoking as much as possible. There have been studies that prove that even if you're around people who are smoking, otherwise known as passive smoking, it can still have a negative impact on your growth. So stay away from those things as much as possible if you want to maximize your height. The last and the final step of this routine is, once again, sleep. I've said this once and I'm gonna say this again. Sleep is the most important thing, not just for your height, but for every single aspect of your physical and mental well-being. Do not compromise on your sleep, and just stick to this routine that I've outlined for you, and I can guarantee that you will see a difference in your height. Also, it's easy to lose hope by thinking that your height can't be increased after a certain age, but that's not true, because there are many people who have done that. But in saying that, you have to be realistic. If you're 25 and you're 5'6", don't expect to be 6 foot tall by following this routine. Such a big growth is only possible if you're like 15 or something. The younger you are, the more taller you can become. But regardless of how old you are, if you stick to what I've shown you in this video and you really commit to it, you will start to see results. Just believe in the process and you will get there.